Shortly after the war broke out, Poland passed a law allowing refugees from Ukraine to obtain national insurance numbers and access a range of social and health benefits. As of the 24th of February this year, nearly 11 million refugees had arrived in Poland from Ukraine, of whom nearly 9 million have returned to Ukraine. Currently, the same rights are enjoyed by Polish citizens in Ukraine. According to a foreign policy magazine, tightening Polish-Ukrainian relations could lead to a union along the lines of the one in the late 14th century. Much of today's Ukraine shares far more of its past with Poland than it does with Russia, notwithstanding claims of Russian propagandists to the contrary. Even if Ukraine's war against Russia ends with a decisive Ukrainian victory, Kyiv faces a potentially decades-long struggle to join the EU. Imagine instead that at the end of the war, Poland and Ukraine form a common federal or confederal state, merging their foreign and defense policies and bringing Ukraine into the EU and NATO almost instantly. The Polish-Ukrainian Union would become the second largest country in the EU and arguably its largest military power. However, the formation of a Polish-Ukrainian Union is not possible at the moment because Ukraine is at war with Russia, which complicates the process of Ukraine's accession to both NATO and the European Union. From Kyiv's perspective, a state model assuming a strong alliance with Poland is beneficial because it would facilitate the accession process as well as Ukraine's functioning within the European Union. Indeed, from the American point of view, which fortunately is absolutely in line with our interests, a situation in which there would be peace in our part of the world and its maintenance would not rest primarily on the shoulders of American citizens, who would have to give both in human and financial terms for defense against Russia, requires the creation of a structure that would bear at least a significant part of the burden on its own, and no one other than Poland with Ukraine will create such a structure. On the other hand, France and Germany could potentially lose politically from any possible alliance. Today, such a need exists again. Russia is attacking those countries that want to liberate themselves from under its former influence. Germany, in turn, is pushing its way into the Union and wants to dominate and deprive the countries of Central Europe of their identity. So the cooperation of large nations like Poland, Ukraine, but also smaller ones, in the event of the formation of a possible union, many opportunities would open up before the newly formed state entity. The territory of the alliance would stretch from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. Ukraine has many ports on the Black Sea from which it exports food and steel. Meanwhile, Poland's economy is thriving compared to other European countries. Our cooperation is beneficial from the point of view of both economies. The region of Central and Eastern Europe, that is the belt of the Baltic countries, Poland, Ukraine. Without this region, it is impossible to enter Western Europe when it comes to logistics. So all plans to tighten cooperation are a moment to do today, because this friendship naturally grows, and the levels or spaces in which we can cooperate. But for now, this is the first stage to think about the future. As Marshal Józef Piłsudski claimed, without an independent Ukraine, there can be no independent Poland. According to Professor Piotr Grochmalski, this thesis is also confirmed by current realities. Had it not been for the strategic Polish-Ukrainian cooperation, it is difficult to say what the course of this war would have been. This is Mackinder's solution. And let's remember that Mackinder talked to Piłsudski, who presented him with elements of his thinking about this area of Central Europe. This shows that an eminent European geopolitician saw the need to create this type of mechanism as a guarantor before the outbreak of World War II. The two countries see each other as strategic partners, and this perception has persisted for almost 30 years. After the 24th of February last year, these ties strengthened considerably, but the topic of a possible union has not been mentioned in official speeches by government representatives.